So let's talk some football issues, B. West, because you're one of the first guys that we thought of here with this situation with Saquon being as close as he is to the all-time record. As a running back, well, first of all, give me that perspective as a running back to make that kind of an achievement, and then we have to go back with the circumstances here that the Eagles are in.
Well, I think to be able to rush for 2,000 yards in the season, that's just an unbelievable accomplishment in and of itself, and so. The ability for the offensive line to be consistent enough, receivers blocking downfield, which they do a great job of, offensive coordinator continuing to call the run plays, staying consistent there. And for Saquon in particular, being healthy enough throughout the season to really achieve that type of opportunity in record, at least the yards-wise, that's amazing. So to me, that's a great achievement, just being able to get to 2,000 yards. I'm excited for Saquon. I was truly excited before the announcement for him to be able to try to go get the record. I thought that was something that he would want to achieve and that he would be excited to go out. And I think the teammates would have been excited as well, Mike.
I think he was. I mean, you could tell by his comments that he may have wanted a shot at it. So let me put it on your lap. B. West is 101 yards from breaking the all-time record set by Eric Dickerson, which has lasted more than 40 years now. What would have been your whole thing on this? Would you have gone to them and said, I want to play?
Well, Mike, not only that, 101 yards away, you get to break this record against a team that called you this $12 million running back, this guy that you just kind of hand the ball off, that guy that had been truly the face of the franchise for a very long time, his entire career, and then you're saying, okay, we'd rather pay the quarterback and not pay you. And so, to me, there would have been no question about it. I would have went for the record. These types of records, it's lasted 40 years because it's so hard to get to. It's so hard to be healthy. It's so hard to be consistent. And I think Saquon deserved the opportunity. I think the offensive line deserved it. I think the coaching staff deserved the opportunity to go for the record. And I understand the thought process. Hey, you want to be healthy. But he's been healthy all year. He's done his job all year. This offensive line has been consistent all year. And I get to do it against the New York Giants. To me, there is no better setup for going for the record than what has happened thus far this season. And this has been a great accomplishment for Saquon. And so many people have thought, Mike, listen, if you go for the record, you can't be healthy. You can't rest. You can't win a Super Bowl. I don't believe that. I believe that you can accomplish both of those same goals in being healthy and being refreshed, being able to go out there and perform every single week. They have done it every single week of the season.
Yeah, why get shy now, in other words, right?
Why does it stop now?
Yeah. So, all right, so you would have gone to him, the coach, say, I want to play. Now, when you do that, you also then bring everybody else into it. You bring the offensive line because they're not going to let you play behind backups, right?
Well, of course, I'm bringing the offensive line because it's just as much of a credit to them and what they've been able to do all season as it is to me. So, yes, and my hope, Mike, quite honestly, would be to go get that record in the first half and then be able to sit the second half like he set for the most of the fourth quarter last week. I would have tried to do that. That would have been my goal.
All right, so Bill is on the other side. My partner Bill here is on the other side. I've echoed everything that you just said for the first hour of this show. So, Bill, go ahead. Present to Brian your
Well, a couple things, B. West. I mean, I get it. I get the competitive nature of a professional athlete. You're going to want the record. But, B. West, 2003, man, you remember Washington Commanders, last game of the season. You tore your tricep. Missed the whole playoffs that year. I can't take that risk with Saquon Barkley because I seriously think that game against the Carolina Panthers, that conference championship game, if you're in that game, maybe things go a little bit differently.
Well, Bill, this is what I would tell you. So athletes, most people that are just engaged in this way, we don't look at it that way. We don't look at the negative side, right? We don't look at it as a 10% chance of us getting hurt. We look at it the 90% chance of us being able to go do our job, the thing that we were built for, the opportunity that we have. Now, just imagine this. Saquon is trained for a lifetime to get to this very point, to get to the point where he could potentially establish something, a record that hasn't been broken in 40 years. So to me, by saying, well, yeah, we can bring up 2003, absolutely. Injuries happen every single week, absolutely. But you may never get this opportunity again to break this record. And who's to say? This is the truth. Who's to say I don't get hurt in the first play of the playoff game? Who's to say if Saquon doesn't get hurt in the first play of the playoff game, whether he breaks the record or not?
That risk is always going to be
there.
there.
The side of positive.
Yeah,
that's part of football. That's just part of
the risk is always going to be there. But see, here's the other thing, B. West, and I think you understand it just like I'm understanding it. This is a special beyond special. Like, this isn't like a team record or, whatever. You're going to win a playoff game. This is the all-time seasonal rushing record that has lasted because it's almost impossible to break, especially in this day and age where the league has gone with the forward pass.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's not a meaningless record to me. And I know so many people are, what matters more? If you win the Super Bowl or you break, I want to be able to do both. And I think both are true. In order for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, Saquon's going to have to be great. We need that. We understand that. But that doesn't mean that if he makes this record or breaks this record, that he can't be great in the playoffs. I just don't believe that. He's been healthy. They've taken care of him. They've spread the ball around in different areas to wide receivers and tight ends throughout their season. This is a great opportunity for Saquon to do something that you'll be able to look back on 15 years now. So Mike, I've been out of the league for 13 years. And even my kids now, my son, he looks back at, 2006, 2007, the years that we went to the Super Bowl. He talks about some of the things that we were able to do as a team and what I was able to do individually. So, of course, it matters to Saquon and the teammates, but it also matters for the legacy piece. There is a piece of that as well. And so those are the reasons why I would have allowed him to go for it. I hear Nick Sirianni, but, that's part of the game. Injuries are always part of the game.
Brian, and we're talking to Brian Westbrook, the great number 36. Brian, Saquon's a very humble man. You see him, he spreads the praise out all over the place. How tough of a spot would it have been for him to lobby Sirianni to play in this game? Would he have been reluctant to do that because he's such a team-oriented type of humble guy?
So I've talked to Saquon really, a lot since his rookie year, and even, including time here in Philadelphia. We don't talk every day, but when we see each other, we have a great conversation. Very humble, very meek in a way. I do believe this, though, Mike. If it was something that just Saquon wanted to do, it was the number one thing on his wish list, I think he would have spoke up and said something to the coach. And I also believe that Nick Sirianni, being the coach that he is, he would have certainly listened to him, taken it all in, and made a decision that probably would have favored Saquon. I really do believe that. This is what I believe is going through Saquon's head. He's had 6 years or so of bad seasons in New York, not making the playoffs, not having meaningful games, especially postseason games. He's saying that's more important to him right now. And I understand that, probably based upon the things that have happened in the past in New York. He hasn't had a lot of success, especially postseason success. And so I can understand that. I also believe that this is something that's so special. This is a record that is so doggone special that I would risk it all for this record.
It is. Here's the thing. I think what we're talking about now is him being reluctant to actually do that. But when you look at his quotes, it looks like he really wanted to do that. So do you think he held back in saying that to Sirianni? Did you consult with him at all? Did you consult with him on this at all?
Okay. I did not consult with him at all. I think he is not only, and this is the unselfishness of Saquon. He's not only thinking about himself, because I think personally he probably would want to go after it. But maybe there are offensive linemen. There are other people that will not play because of his decision that need the rest more so than himself. And this is why I think the people in New York love him, the people in Philadelphia love him. I love Saquon because he's so unselfish, in my opinion, probably to a fault. He is so unselfish. He's so willing to give up records and opportunities for himself so that others can be, can achieve, others can rest. That's part of the love for Saquon. That's part of who he is. This is one of those moments, Mike, that I would be selfish just a bit.
I gotcha. Go ahead, Bill. Last question from Bill.
So, Brian, you played under Andy Reid, obviously, and Andy Reid's mentality down the stretch in some of those seasons where you already had the top seed clinched, the starters rested. That 2004 year, the last couple of games, all you guys rested. How important was that, though, going into the playoffs, getting that extra rest? What competitive advantage did that give your teams?
Well, you also got to remember this, Bill. That was back in '04. Practices were totally different, right? We were doing 2-a-days during training camp, 2.5-hour practice each. We were a physical, nasty football team. We were practicing in pads all training camp. During the season, we're practicing in pads. We were physical. So now practice is a little bit different. They're walkthroughs and not wearing pads, and so things are truly different for these athletes. And so I think it's important. But I also know that, at the same time, you do need rest, yes. But our teams that's a different time of football. Our teams needed a couple of weeks of rest because we were getting beat up. Football is not as physical as it was 15, 20 years ago. It's a different game at this point, especially what leads up to the camp, what leads up to the regular season, and throughout the regular season. So it's totally different. I believe that guys take care of their bodies much better than we did. Technology is different. So for me, even just to have the week off, it's great to have the week off. There's no doubt about that. However, can he perform, Saquon, and this team perform the week next week, and not this Sunday, but the next Sunday, because they had to work this week for a half or 3/4 or whatever it is? I think they would be able to do that as well and be very good at what they do.
All right, Ben.
Rest certainly is important at times, but this is, again, Mike, this is an important record.
Yeah, I hear you, and they seem equipped to pull it off, and it's a shame that they're not going to get the chance to do it. All right, so if you, and the last thing I want to talk with you about is the actual playoffs. They're locked into the second seed now, and it looks like the first round game would be, they're going to have to go through the whole, that one conference, it looks like, to get to the Super Bowl. The Packers, and if they win that, you're talking about going against the Lions and then you're going to have to beat the Vikings or the Lions to get to the whole thing. So let's take first things first. How well equipped are they to get to the Super Bowl?
I think they're as well equipped as any team in the NFL. Defense finds a way to get after the quarterback. They covers well. They do a really good job covering on the back end. Linebackers have played better than we've seen linebacker play in 20, 25 years here in Philadelphia. Offensively, obviously, the run game has been intact. Offensive line continues to be a strong point, and you have wide receivers that can make plays. And so when you talk about being equipped for the playoffs and making a run to the Super Bowl, they're just as equipped as any other team. And I think health-wise, you're just as equipped as any other team out there in the NFC.
All right. Sounds good. B. West, always a pleasure to talk to you. Give your favorite horse a carrot on me, will you, please?
Hey, guys. Thanks for checking out our video. If you want more from the Mike Missanelli Show, somewhere on this screen, there is somewhere where you can hit the playlist. Keep interacting with us.